in my throat.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Trashman Show for tonight's special edition. I wish it was on greater terms. Before we get into what's going on with everything else, those of you in the chat, welcome. I know we got quite a few familiar faces that tunes in regularly on the live streams. So today is 9/11. So those what we have is in 2001. There was a terror attack in this nation by Al-Qaeda Islamic extremists. They hijacked passenger airliners and flew them into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and one actually did not make it to its target because the passengers popped back and ended up crashing in a field in Pennsylvania. In total, we lost almost 3,000 people that day. 343 of them were firefighters, 60 EMT paramedics, and I believe also one police officer was also killed, and these were all most of them were in the World Trade Center incident. And Pacific Northwest would like for us to take a moment of silence for those victims that passed during that event. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay. Now to more pressing issues about what's the status of the Union today. Well, I'm going to be honest, guys. This has been a pressure cooker that's been building for a while. We have a serious problem with the radicalism in this nation, and a lot of it has to do with just, honestly, it's just propaganda, lies, and people listening to echo chambers. I mean, most people that I interact with, like I'm in California, I'm in a supposedly very liberal state, and a lot of these things that people say about things are just not true. So to get that off out of the way, obviously we all know what happened yesterday to Charlie Kirk, very pronounced conservative activist, and he's a political figure, but he wasn't in any office. He was just a kind of like me that does YouTube and everything else. But he went to campuses and basically had these debates. Now, I personally wasn't. I've seen a lot of his videos, but excuse me, I never would say that he was. Sometimes, yeah, he comes off like a little bit of a narcissist know-it-all. But again, man's entitled to his opinion, just like anybody else that sit there with a sign on the side of the road complaining about whatever the reasons are. So far, they do have a person of interest, and I guess the FBI does have the name of the individual. They haven't released it yet. And the weapon used in the attack was a 30-06, a very large caliber, single-shot bolt-action rifle, used for hunting purposes. It was a Mauser, I guess that's what they're saying. For those of you gun enthusiasts out there that wishing to care to understand what it was used in it. Also, we've seen the jugular shot. If you haven't seen it, he took the bullet directly into his left jugular here. And from my experiences, that's a kill shot. And obviously, yes, he did pass. Why was because he's just a speaker. I mean, Pacific, that's the best way to put that in answers to your question. He was just a speaker. He's not other than the social following, the people that want to debate with him and everything else, there wasn't really enough security like that needed for something like that, because no one really found him getting shot over it. Because again, colleges are supposed to be area where these debates happen, and unfortunately, this lunatic just decided to shoot him. Unjustified, uncalled for. What really, if it's really upsetting for that, because I did find out that his wife and kids were present. So two young children watched their father die in front of them. Let that sink in. And then there's the issue of these radical leftists is the best way to put them. The radical leftists that are praising the death of this man. Like, he didn't harm anybody. All he did was argue with you. And that I cannot fathom in this nation. This is something you see in a third world country down in Central America happening, political assassinations and everything else. But let's be real. The incident in Maryland that everybody wants it, that all these Democrats want to, like, well, why didn't we say something about this? Why say something about that? But we can also argue the same thing can argue is that you try to take Trump's head off too. And you're calling about Trump's rhetoric. Trump isn't calling for anybody to be killed. There's people on the left, extremely on the far left, that's more notorious in these echo chambers if you haven't looked at it, like Blue Sky, Occupy Democrat, for example, and everything else, who are completely insane about this. Just completely insane. And I cannot understand this. Like, and you have to understand something. There is a difference between Democrat and extremist left-wing liberal. There is a difference. Just like there's a difference between a blue-collar conservative and the the racist redneck with a sheet over his head. I can't say that because I don't want to get banned. But again, we know who they are, and we kind of treated them like just a adolescent child that whatever, they'll grow out of it. No, they haven't. In fact, they've gotten more violent, and this is not going to stop until we make it stop. How do we do that? Well, this is the reason why we're going to talk about it. There's two options that we can do. Is we can continue the status quo, continuing to try to cater to these radicals, or we can cut them out completely. And I'm not talking about violence. No, we're not going to do that. That's not something we should do, because you lose the moral authority when you do that. Don't give them what they want, because what this is all boils down to is they're trying to provoke, to argue their authoritarian fascist dream that they wish that they have on top of them. And I don't understand. I really don't understand. And this is something I said. I've been to other countries. I've seen other things. I've seen people actually oppressed and living in poverty and everything else. These people are just, they are completely out of touch with reality in this nation. This nation is not perfect. We have our problems. We're a nation of human beings, imperfect human beings who make mistakes. That's a fact. And we have a dark history. But no nation or tribe or color of skin is innocent. Every human civilization, creed, culture has committed some act of atrocities. If you dig, and that's something we have to just understand. You can't judge the past with today's standards. And you can't be blaming something from 300 years ago that's affecting us now. That's what the division has to stop. We are all here together. We're all living together. This is a nation. That's the reality. We are supposed to be a nation, and that's the problem. You don't see yourself as a nation. You see yourself as tribes, and that's a problem. That's a problem we have here. And let's be honest. ICE. The whole thing with ICE. The hysteria that politicians on both sides have been doing it. President's not innocent in that matter either. Stirring up the hysteria. And these things are just, and then the same thing with the like what happened to the Ukrainian girl on that train. stabbed in the neck, just going home by obviously someone who shouldn't have been there, someone that should have been in jail. And the whole reality is it's just this whole thing is out of hand, and we have hit that tipping point of no return. We can't pretend that this country or us as a society are normal. This is not normal. But this is not something that is just plaguing us. In case you guys didn't realize, earlier this week, the French government recalled its prime minister, and their government utterly collapsed. Now, they're still functioning, but they're in the same boat. Situation in the UK is the same way. Even Canada is having similar issues. It's just ridiculous. And we are seeing, and then yesterday, early morning hours, we had the Russian military probe Poland's defenses. And with the whole NATO incident, and obviously the incident with Israel attacking Qatar, targeting Hamas. So, and then there's the situation in Nepal that's gotten out of control, and then there's also, it's just South Korea's political nightmare, and then Japan's even in a political nightmare as well. This is what we're seeing. This isn't just us. It's happening everywhere. Is the West collapsing? The West is fracturing. And there are those that are trying to profit off of it, and those who are trying to instigate it. We saw that yesterday. Regardless of the reason behind it, the guy succeeded in what he wanted to do. He wanted a reaction. And he got it. Just not the one he was expecting. Now, the problem is, I don't see this, and I'm not going to be pessimistic about it. I'm just going to speak the truth. No one's interested in working together on this. How do you reason with a radical that cannot be reasoned? No matter what you say, that is facts. And trying to agree with them, we're trying to work with them to find an agreement if they're shooting at you. They're calling you a bunch of names. They're basically letting the entire policies, let's say about California, for example. California is in the position because of its government, not because of the people. The people who keep voting for this government, yes. But understand this. If California was to repeal 70% of its regulations, the cost of living would drop more than 50% here. You were to fund the actual laws that were put in by the voters last year during the last cycle of elections, your crime would go down naturally too. But these politicians won't, because why? Because they're activists. They're not politicians. They're not leaders. They're activists. They want to look good on the internet, and they want to look good in the echo chamber. They're all preppy ass elites who don't care nothing about us. So what can we do to change that? Well, we need to find the right candidates and listen to the actual candidates. Don't listen to the commercial. Listen to what the candidate says. And if obviously the candidate's in the same market as he is now, and the market is obviously a bad market, why are we going to invest in the same market if it's been failing us? That's as a nation. Is we need to focus on that. Because there are many people, and I'm seeing it right now. A lot of people are not interested. They don't want. They're mad. They're upset, and then they're being taunted. That's a sad part about the status of our union right now. That it's not changing, I think. See, Bruce, that's the difference right there. It's not talking about changing what other thinks. It's about treating them how they think. If someone's a radical, we need to treat them as a radical. Doesn't matter if they're on the left side with blue hair or on the right side with red hair. It don't matter. That's what I'm saying. Is apparently there's a mass shooting going on in a naval academy right now in Maryland. That's another thing too. There's been a lot of swatting calls and everything else. Treat people friendly. Yes, I would agree. Treat people friendly. But are we going to sit there and, because our nation is hurting and there are those people trying to destroy it, and for what exactly? Yeah, that's an issue right there. Pacific, that's exactly an issue. The homelessness is manufactured. It's an industrial complex. They're not trying to help the homeless. They're trying to profit off of them. Think about it. These politicians, California's budget spent over $30 billion with no receipts on homelessness. Where'd it go? It went in somebody's pocket, some special interest pocket, most likely. That's an example, and we're seeing that's what we have a problem here. Is, and you can't tell people how to think, no, but you can disrupt communications. That's something else I could say, and also the homelessness. The homelessness can be fixed rather quickly if we have actual people that are willing to do the job and not sit here and listen to the echo chamber. There's a one candidate that's running that makes sense, but people are not going to probably vote for him because he doesn't have the situation. Yeah. So what happened? Yeah, I've had a homeless person come into my house, and you learn quickly that that was a big mistake on his part. And then we have, obviously, we just have crime that's just out of control. People can't be safe on public transit. We have activists in leadership positions and judges and schools and everything else that are trying to indoctrinate rather than just do their jobs. Yep, homelessness need to be arrested. Yeah, and that can be done real quick with the right leadership and power, because the laws can be overchanged, and that's another thing I'm going to talk about. Is we can like for California's midterm is next year election, and then we're also going to have obviously the governor election too. Newsom will not be the governor because well, his terms are up. He's going to try to make a bid for president, and I don't think that man has a chance in hell of getting the presidency, but that's just my opinion. But yeah. Who knows who is this candidate who knows one what wants? Well, you gotta look at the reality. If they're a career politician, then they're probably not there to do the job. Most career politicians, and that's a problem with Congress too. That's a problem with our nation. Is we have a lot of career politicians that have been there for decades, and they manufacture a crisis and promise to fix it, but never fix it because it's profitable. It's all about money, unfortunately. Why lock up homeless people and not killers? We need to lock up killers. We need to lock up mentally insane people too. We don't need any of that on our streets. That's the reality. We need to get them treatment. Homeless people are mostly drug addiction, and drug addiction that inquires to mental health addiction. Those two things can help with that, but they're not going to voluntarily go for that. They have to be coerced into it. Now, killers, on the other hand, too, yes, there's a big problem with soft on crime situations. No cashless bail, no real repercussion. I mean, San Jose, broad daylight, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 30 guys drove into their car into a jewelry shop and ransacked the place because there's no repercussion for that. Most of the time, you can just walk into a store, take what you want, and leave. They can't stop you, and you're just gonna get a ticket here in the state, and that's a problem. See, in the affordable housing crisis, like, this is something else I'm gonna talk about California in particular. It's manufactured by over regulation. You take away the regulation, a lot of the regulations, a lot of the paperwork, a lot of the money, and the price goes down dramatically. And that's just something right there. Same thing with the gas prices, same thing with everything. See, society is falling apart because those in charge want it to fall apart. That's what I'm getting at. Because it's always funny, but not all homeless people are drug addicts. Bruce, we're not going to get into the 1% of people. There are people that are homeless that choose to be homeless. Yes. But then most of them here that I've dealt with are drug addicts or mentally unable to do anything, and they're just out there. Guy got cut in half by a forklift and survived. That's interesting. See, your understanding is we're not talking about mass incarceration when I say locking up homeless. We need to get them off the street and get them in the treatment. It's not humane to let someone just sleep on the street. We are a first world nation. We're supposed to be the leader of the world. And we can't even take care of our own citizens. Not because we can't. No. There's plenty of money. There's plenty of ways to do it. But everything's hands are tied. And that's because of these corrupt politicians. Bottom line, it starts at the top. And that's the situation, that's the entire situation with our nation right now. And they also continue to spear this hostile rhetoric. So when you sit and this is a problem with social media, too, that I'm a mess. Hold on, report coming through. One second, y'all. So this mass shooting is an accidental dischargeable weapon in the Naval Academy, so you guys know. So there's a lot of, a lot of hysteria. Media is guilty of that too. And why are they locking them up instead of putting them in the homeless shelters? Because the homeless shelters are run by crooks. And people are not being put into jail. They're being let out of jail. They're being let out to just sleep on the streets. That's the thing. This is a revolving cycle of situation. Here's an example. You got a homeless person that gets arrested, right? They get arrested for, let's say, drug possession. They go upon a activist judge. Judge releases them back into society. Usually the same day, if not. They're not allowing the system. There's a system that works, but you can't do it. Yeah. It's not just freeloading, but it's also, we got to take into consideration, at least in California, this is what I can speak on. A lot of influx of homeless are not native to California because the environment is warm here. Even when it's cold in the winter, it's still nowhere near as bad, especially like the more south you go into Southern California. Second, California enables this. This came from a sheriff's mouth. A sheriff that's actually running for governor, about how these profits are securing needles, drugs, and the resources for them to basically enable them to just continue their habits and be homeless. Instead of spending that money to, again, build homeless shelters. And then now this is where it gets a little tricky. Then you get these little groups that are like, not my spot, not my spot, because of these nonprofits. The same nonprofits where $30 billion magically vanished. You see the cycle here? It's not black and white. It's a corruption issue. Get rid of the corruption. Hold the people that are doing this accountable. Open up the books. Stop listening to the echo chamber. Yes, everybody needs help. That's not the situation. We're not about not helping them. I'm talking about helping them. Because it's not right for the homelessness. It's not right for, for example, it's the homeless people's issue. They didn't go to school. No, they didn't go to school. Most of them. Again, we're gonna talk now. We gotta dive deep into this. Now, I know this from three perspectives. One is from governmental, two is from public transit, and three is from working in the trash industry. All three of these things that I've encountered, I'm gonna break it down for you. 60% of them are addicts. 38% of them are usually not mentally well. Less than 1 to 2% are individuals that are victims of some type of situation, unique situation. So those individuals are the 1 to 2%. They get through the programs. They get out of homelessness rather quickly. Sometimes they may have to wait a minute because of just the large population of homelessness. But these individuals, like for example, there's domestic violence shelters. They are for women. And there is also shelters for children. And this is what these are the 1 or 2% kind of statistics you're looking at when you look at homelessness. And that's where they get the situation at. And these individuals are the statistics that get out pretty quickly. They're usually not that. They shouldn't have failed themselves. Yes, they shouldn't have failed themselves, but also a government should not be enabling their habits. A government should be encouraging them to get them the help they need for their issues and everything else. And that is true. And that's a reality, though. And that's when, like someone said in the comments, I'm not sure, I didn't catch who said it, but someone said that society basically doesn't give a shit anymore about anybody. And everybody's all rude and shit. That's the problem. The community element collapsed. Because of what? Because of tribalism. Because of self-segregation. That's something that everybody does. If someone doesn't align with you politically, what do? You axe them out of your life. You get into these bots of echo chamber content, and you're only being subjected to that. See, that's the difference between when I grew up. Cell phones and the internet was barely in its infancy. So people were able to talk to each other. You've had people of different backgrounds and different colors sitting at a table in the bar having a beer together and everything else, and they have genuine conversations. Now understand, you have your racists. That's something that's been around for the dawn of man, and it ain't going to go away anytime soon because it's too profitable. You had your class issues between working class and wealthy class. You have your issues between Democrat, Republican. These things go on about how they divide us. And that's a situation that goes through. And the problem is now we have these same activists that have been advocating for these failed policies. They're in schools. They're in the academic. They're teaching this perspective, and they're shouting down anybody that disagrees with them. So we're in a complete situation of chaos that's manufactured. Eating, David, I just saw you jump in. Welcome to the chat. So our nation can be fixed by us being a community. But that requires everyone to start caring. to start doing their part and also proving the radicals wrong. Most people, like for example, we're going to talk about the situation. This is probably a sensitive subject, but I'm going to speak on it. For some of you that may not. Yes. Gun violence in this nation. Most gun violence in this nation is committed usually in gang on gang violence. That makes up for most of the gun violence across the nation as a whole. The mass shootings that are occurring and everything else, now what they like to do is they like to stack. They put everything, anybody above basically a 3 count that's been shot anybody is considered a mass shooting. So, but here's the difference of that situation. More people still are dying in car accidents, or is damn close to that and everything else. Are we going to ban cars because of reckless drivers? You ban, and the people, these people that are, a lot of these incidences too, these gun violence incidences, are people who shouldn't have firearms in the first place. Who are, for example, crooks, criminals, and people that just shouldn't have firearms, whether they acquire them by legal means or illegal means. We can agree on that. But when it comes down to this, like for example, incident, the Charlie Kirk incident, that was a hunting rifle. That wasn't no AR-15. This wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't the stereotypical thing. That's something I want to point out to you. And it's not. We also have other incidences like people firebomb and stuff. People doing a lot of these things. They better not get banned. I love my truck. Yeah, see, but that's a reality of it. And the argument is not sustainable. It's not. When you look at it as scrutiny. Are you going to ban knives? What are you going to cut your bread with? Your finger? You know, I mean, this because again, there's so many things. And it's like you disarm the average person, it's not going to change anything. I swear not to get electric in the future yeah, electrics are just there to control you. You don't do what they say, they can turn it off. That's exactly what that's about. So, but yeah, that's a situation of our union. Diesel is the best. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so no matter where near fuel will eventually run out. Yeah, but let's be honest, your car is going to continue running when you got gas in it. Electric battery, every electric car is going to come with a kill switch. They're going to establish this social credit score system. So you do something they don't like, you say something they don't like, boom, you can't use your car. Boom, you can't buy groceries. That's what's happening in China. And that's where a lot of these politicians want. They want that power. It's like they were so drunk on the COVID pandemic and everything else, of that fear and everything else, they want it back. And that's politicians in general. I don't care who the hell it is. And a lot of these politicians are out for themselves and they're not out for us. So it's time to start, like I said, going after leaders and not politicians. Let's get leaders into power and let's start fixing this up. Let's come together as a community. Let's stop with the radicalization. Stop listening to echo chambers and bring everything back together. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on, guys. I'll be right back. Sorry, guys, I'm back. My nephew locked himself out of his car, and my brother has to go help him. What about it? Yeah. Now, so that's the situation is like we need to just come together, not as anything else other than just a humans, a nation. Like, I don't know what is up with this victim mentality of, oh, I have it worse than you. Like, oh, why are we competing down to the bottom? That makes no sense to me. Let's compete upward. Let's get our economy back going. Let's get our country back going. Let's get ourselves back going. And let's make the country proud to be here. Instead of us feeling all miserable and you know like that. So, yeah, I wanted to get on here tonight and just talk to everybody and let everybody know that we still got some real people out there, not and quit listening to the rhetoric, quit listening to the media. Media is painting a narrative to push their ratings so they get their bonuses because of special interests. We're not as shattered as people would like to think, but it's just like a truck. You got to put grease into it. You got to take care of it, and she'll keep running. You neglect it, and she'll break down. Same thing with the country. If you neglect her, she'll break down on us, and that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. Yeah, we need common sense, which isn't common anymore apparently, which is not true. We need to just not be listening to those that want to divide us and listen to the ones that want to unite us. Because the world is a very dangerous place, and people will take opportunities to take things from us. Remember that. What are we going to do if Trump dies? Depending on, well, if it's natural causes and everything else, we're stuck with Vance. If someone tries to do what they did to Charlie, then this country is doomed. That's all I can tell you. Because there ain't no going back from that. So, but no, that's basically what I got here about addressing the shattered union. I do not believe, I'm maybe a little bit optimistic about it, that yes, there is a lot of people that are upset and a lot of people are hurting, and that man touched millions of people. And I think it just pushed a lot of people away from, and it wasn't necessarily, this is the funny part, it's not that he was shot, it's the reaction from these radicals praising that he was shot and assassinated. Like, that isn't anything else. That's the that's what I think is what's, I would say, the realization and the reading of the room. But we also are at the mercy of whatever the administration decides to do. Because the administration may decide to get a little more hands-on than they already have been with the situation. And yeah. But yeah, we want peace, not war. We want a union, not a dissolution. And if you can't agree on those two, then get some help. Yeah, my nephew's a little impatient. Every day in this kind of feels like death with closer. No. See, Bruce, I would disagree with you. I think America just woke up. We realized we sleptwalk into chaos. If you don't agree with something, just walk away. Exactly. Simple as that. Exactly. That's the beauty. So now let's talk about that. The beauty of the First Amendment is you're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to believe whatever you want to believe. You're an atheist, you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, you're a Buddhist. That's fine. Nobody cares. That's your right. And that's what needs to be reminded is everybody needs to be grateful. Walking away doesn't work in the society. It doesn't work for the small radical group. But then there are three things, gentlemen. There are always three things. Number one is you can walk away. Number two, stand up for what you believe in. And number three, defend yourself. I mean, there are just some people, there's an old saying, there are men who want to watch the world burn. They're all around us. It's pretty obvious. But, and in the face of evil, it's also worse for good men to do nothing. We can come out of this. We will come out of this. Whether we lose a couple of teeth or a fat lip or a broken nose, now that's up for debate. Yeah, like David said it right there. You gotta make yourself do it, and do it in the right situation. Yep, exactly. And that's what I want to encourage everybody right here is don't strive to just be the person, be the best person you can. And if that means you have to belittle or wish harm on somebody, then you need to take a look in the mirror. Because that's something right there that says that there's something wrong. No average person wishes harm. An indoctrination person wishes harm. 1 second. Yep. Yeah, and that's always been the old saying. Fuck around and find out. Yeah, unfortunately, that is something I do agree that people do take things in their own hands. And the reason why that is because, but what is the reason that usually that happens? Now you get, it's funny because most people are gonna like point the finger at the other person. It's not me, it's you, and that's the funny part. It takes two to fight. So, and like, here's an example. You're walking down the street, right? You bump into somebody. If both people are like, "Oh, my fault," and kept on going, ain't nobody gonna trip. But let's say a guy steps on your shoe and then shoves you. What are you gonna do about it? Well, obviously, your natural instinct is you're gonna get hostile. That's a natural thing. Like, anger is a natural emotion. I don't know why people try to act like it's not. And it's still like, I mean, the problem is people have disregarded human life. Corruption is usual cause. That's the center of everything right now. That's corruption. that is it. The corruption is everything. And yep. So try to be a better person. That's what I can tell you. Ironically, 24 years ago, on this day, like I said at the beginning of this, we seen evil. We all saw it. We were old enough to remember seeing that plane hit the building and watching the towers come down. Yeah, I get a guy that puts sawdust in his can all the time. Yeah. So back to what I was saying though, but we also saw great compassion, great heroism that day. A lot of the firefighters went in those buildings to try to help people, and they paid the ultimate sacrifice. The days that followed, though, is something that is actually great. It's sad because of the event and everything else, but the days that followed, this country was united in ways that many people never thought possible. Too bad corrupt politicians saw the opportunity and marched us into an imperial war. If you guys are old enough, that would be the Iraq War, 2003. But yeah, that's a situation though. Is Japan did right before the outbreak of hostilities called us a bunch of lazy drunks. That's what they thought of Americans, and that we wouldn't last long in a fight. Yeah. I was 8 years old when it happened. What's your opinion about South Park having fun, or making fun of Trump having an affair? It's South Park. Why are we taking South Park seriously? They make fun of everybody. The thing is, too, with the devil, I still think that's creativity. That's freedom of speech. As long as they're not calling for harm to them and everything else, they're just making fun of them. I mean, come on. Us trash drivers make fun of each other all the time. You got to be able to laugh and stop trying to correct everybody. People are people. Yes, there are some people who just say unfiltered things. And that's the thing right there. You can't police people's opinions. That's true. You can't silence people either. But you can learn to coexist. And that's something that has to be taught. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, David. Yeah, the White House got so pissed off. Yeah, because Trump's ego. Trump has an ego. Okay, in case you didn't know that. So does Newsom. Governor Newsom has an ego. All these politicians have an ego. Like they're more slithering than a snake. I thought South Park making fun of Mel Gibson's little meltdown back 15 years ago was hilarious too. But then again, I don't take life seriously. I don't care what people do. As long as you're not harming somebody, then why do we care? What you do in your room is your business. And we can laugh. You know, the problem is like, back in the day, we were able to laugh at each other. And that's the difference. And that's still the thing is, too, people are still people. Like, at work, a lot of my entire job is completely significantly diverse. We have basically every flavor at my job. And we all laugh together because we're all garbage men. We all understand. We all laugh at it. 26. Yeah, I mean, come on. And that's the one thing I don't understand. It's like sitting here thinking about this, right? We go back. Why are we letting the egotistical narcissists control our society, telling us what we can and cannot do? Like I said, we ain't bothering nobody. Who cares? Like the Karen epidemic right now that we have. Like these Karens coming over, raising hell, telling, like, what? Again, is he bothering anybody? No, this is a family having a picnic at the park. Oh, we reserved the entire park. Really? I don't see no posted notice. Like, who cares? Who cares what hand you use to wipe your ass? I don't. And it's funny, it's like people literally be arguing about the dumbest things. Hillary wasn't even about. No. Pacific. She outsourced the one job she has as a wife. So what makes you think that she wouldn't outsource the presidency? If you don't get that joke, I'm sorry. But no. That's the problem, though, is if you didn't notice that these parties really do, is they do that. They will put up, like, the most irresponsible candidates. Like, got so many Karen stories from my... Well, Leaves, please share it. Share us a Karen story. Everybody post your Karen story in the comment section. I want to hear them. Since we're talking about this, this is how we fix our nation. We tell stories and we laugh. That's the truth. And by the way, this is a WR. What's up? What's up? Another thing I found funny, but this is the truth. Like, it's the same thing in the trash industry. Like, I've seen so many people. Like, the way they put their cans and everything else. Like, you're special. Okay. I still dump the can, or maybe I won't. Shh. But again, it's like I'm not gonna argue with you. Why am I gonna waste my time arguing with somebody? If you put your can next to your car, you're not worth arguing with because obviously you don't understand. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Not everybody has the same level of intelligence, and I'm okay with that. I mean, we need cannon fodder to fight our wars, so I'm okay with that. So, yo, Matt, I've seen someone yell at my trash driver because she put her can out late and he already got to her side on the street, so she started yelling at him. Well, I dealt with that. And let's just say I'm not too kind about that. Because I had a lady... here's my story. This was when I was at Waste Management. This wasn't with Republic. So, same thing happened. I'm up in rural Nevada County. I was actually using a side loader on this day. And I'm working the one side of the street. And then I come back the other way. And a lady comes out with their can. Same thing. And, yeah, let me tell you. Middle-aged white woman, short blonde hair, Karen through and through. And she starts... And she just... yeah, she starts telling me, oh, my can was laid out. Why didn't you fucking just back up and pick up my can? I'm like, this is exactly how I said to her. Really? You came across the street to yell at me, but you didn't bring your can over here so I can dump it? And she stormed off, got her can, came back across. I dumped it, and I just took off. And she was like, thank you, and left. It's like, that's how you handle them. Again, is it really important about somebody overfilling their can, or they fill the can back up and put it on the side of the street? You put it on the side of the street. I don't care. Just get out of my way. I got a job to do. So, we got some more here. Okay, all right, hold on. Let me back up. We got one from Sacramento Waste Trucks. On Labor Day, it was a very casual morning while I was filming in Folsom with the Durapack 5,000, excuse me, with the Folsom guy. True. In the trailer park where we were waiting for the truck, then this nosy lady came up to her and asked what we were doing. That's a trailer park that smaller communities, usually, especially if they're older communities, they get a little nosy. He yelled back. That's funny. Yeah, I just yelled back too. Uh, I was in the claw doing leaf collection, and there was trash cans in the leaf pile, so I moved them. And the lady came out screaming out at me that I was meddling, that I was a meddling little juvenile delinquent who was. But you're up in Chico, aren't you? Leaves. There's a lot of special people up there. There's something in the water up there. I'm just saying. One time I was trying to my garbage truck driver on trash when I recorded the inside. A can came up to a driver and told me that I was touching it. Again, I don't know. We said we were helping the trash man, and the lady almost didn't believe us. I don't. That's funny. I know this is a serious stream, but can we share some comments left? But can I share some comments left on? Monterey, go ahead. Go ahead. Like I said, this is how we're going to reunify on jokes and just laughing at some of the craziness that we deal with. So taking her bins from her while she was moving them for the car. That's funny. What I said. That's funny. She looked very mad. Time a guy yelled at my recycle driver because he skipped the can because it was so much non-recycled things in the can, and he ran after the truck and yelled at him. Again, I've seen that happen and everything else. And that mean film, nice. Our neighbor is a good neighbor though, and there's only a few. LOL. Folsom is known for having Karens. Well, of course. The more money in the community, the more likely you're going to run into the trophy wives who are bored, and those are usually the Karens. They usually It's funny is like you go from trophy wife to Karen. That's exactly what this group and everything else. And it's really interesting watching them and everything else when it's like this is a very, very, very interesting specimen right here. Very interesting specimen. One time I was operating and purposely dropped a can in the hopper to piss off my driver off. Oh, wow. Bruce, you asshole. This lady was telling Drew not to bring his electric scooter in the park because there is speeding. Oh, wow. When I posted a short on the VO2, some comments said a good driver would be able to set the bins back with the lids closed. Huh? Bruce, I'm just messing with you. Relax. She is nosy, and plus there's another man who was looking at us. Which Drew? Folsom, the Folsom guy's name is Drew. Is also. We're not talking about problem child Drew. My neighbor is a good neighbor also, and also on Friday morning I waited for my Republic Service guy on Jetpack Rear Loader. Hey, we give me a gift. Sweet. Although the worst thing I've seen in my yard in waste helper grab a can and the bottom broke off and the grass went everywhere. He was fucking pissed. He knew he threw the can into the yard. Yeah, I'd probably do something similar to that. The fact even Matt is crazy. The fact you even know Matt is crazy. Well, he's been here. He is it. Yeah. Yeah, he comes up on this channel too, Bruce. Every so often, we have to kick him and his butt boys out. Yeah, alright, I got another good one for you. This is actually a good one. So, I had dumped a can. Guy had came out. Thought I didn't dump his can. Carried it across the street. And I'm like, I already dumped your can. He goes, what? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah. And then we opened it up and he, yeah. It's, it's awesome halfway up driveways and everything else. I'm driving through Stack and passenger. I'll go right now. You better be in the passenger seat and texting. If not, I'm gonna have my coworker's brother, who's a CHP, pull you over and give you a ticket. I'm kidding. But yeah. I'm just thinking about. One of the funniest things. A coworker. This happened at Republic. Oh, nice. Oh, speaking of that, I had a funny Karen incident on Monday. This just reminds me. Um, so I'm coming around a blind corner. It's blind. Like there's a car here, there's a building here. And there's just I cannot see around this corner. Suddenly, this old timer comes up as I'm about to make the turn. Comes up and goes nose to nose with me. Like, bro, move. I can't move. I'm too big. You know, I'm a garbage truck. And he starts playing on the horn, flipping me off and everything. He goes, oh my God. And it's like, and I just sat there and gave him the dad stare as he pulled into the driveway to get out of my way. Wow. I've had people call and complain about me, the leaves popping out of the hopper too, because I do green waste. Like, oh yeah, he made a mess and everything else. And I'm like, it's fall season. There's leaves everywhere. You want me to sweep the neighborhood? You might as well get a street sweeper out here. Yeah. Oh, God. What was another thing that I saw? This was not in the. This was actually wasn't in. I think I almost went too long. Wow, that's funny. Yeah, I know. I see a lot of things. Like there's this one person that was always talking about that they would jump in the truck and yank the green waste out and everything else because they were an environmentalist. So you're an environmentalist, huh? Hmm? So I'm assuming you don't trim any other things too, because obviously you don't mow your lawn because you're an environmentalist, right? You just let everything just overgrow, and so when these fires happen and everything else, you know, people die, homes get destroyed, and yeah, but we're saving the environment though, right? Oh wow, David, that is hilarious. Yeah, people call like someone called and say that oh yeah, we had a complaint about being loud. Really, it's a CNG garbage truck. It's going to be loud. What do you expect me to do? Even the electric is loud. Hell, the electric's louder than the damn CNG. What the hell just happened? I don't know. No, so yeah. No, the funny part is I had a diesel, that Labrie, and we call it the bus, but that Equinox SD truck. Those are both diesels. The Econ honestly, I know everybody's like it's a bus and everything else, and oh my god, but that is the most comfortable ass truck that I've ever been in. It was that cab was very comfortable. The air ride was smooth and everything else. Hell, you could take a nap in the cab and lay your feet out. I've had that happen about a month ago. But it didn't come off the rail, but it came down and whoosh, because the actual roller, the bolts stripped and it just fell apart. Oh, David, you better lay on that air horn. Oh, here's a good. I'm gonna tell you some rear loader stories. Those of you that have been here with the channel a while with streaming, you know about them. I'm gonna tell you some rear loader stories. So so at this moment I'm driving. Okay, I'm in the front. I'm driving. I got my boys in the back working it. So both of us are drivers. So we switch off. He'll work for a while, then I'll work for a while until we get winded and everything else. So he's doing it, and he suddenly goes and runs the tipper, dumps this, and as he's crushing, he's moving the cam back, and suddenly I just see this white streak on the camera from the hopper, and I looked in the mirror and I see it hitting him right in the face. Sour milk, sour milk. Oh my God, he stinks. David, I'm not surprised. You know, a bunch of entitled idiots thinking that they own the road. Another thing that was funny, this happened to me. Like, so I'm picking up the can, and as I'm using the tipper, this can was heavier. It misses, and it just catapults it backwards, and it falls down. And I just sit there and look at the can as it's on the ground for a second, and then look back at the hopper, and I hear my coworker laughing hard in the cab. And I let him know he was number one. That was funny. And then getting now, I heard a story. Oh, I've had that happen to me, David. I've had that happen to me, but it wasn't all over me. But it was the last can of the day. I'm closing the blade down, and I was like, "Well, that was charming." That's exactly what I said. My coworker wasn't paying attention. He missed it. But yeah, he even laughing. What is the most frustrating experience you ever had with a truck? Well, I've had many frustrating experiences with a truck. But there was one truck that I had a front load that the transmission was malfunctioning, so I would have to go neutral back into reverse, neutral back into drive instead of being able to just hit driver, reverse, and everything else. And that truck was just. I was just picking up a can. It's like bottom of the barrel truck. Yeah. And Corrado, yeah, Corrado's I've had some problems with, but no, they swapped it out for Kenworth Peterbilt looking cab with the ZR body. Yeah. So one funny thing I did see, it didn't happen to me, but it happened to my coworker, and it was funny as hell when I saw it happen to him. And this was the is he we were driving, and he his duals went into the dirt, and he almost flipped. Like, he literally almost flipped. But as he's going into the ditch and everything else, he hits a driveway, bounces up over it, back onto the road, and he just sitting there driving. And then I pull up next to him at the light because we spread open, and I was gonna turn left. He's like, I'm looking at him, and he's like, and he looks at me, and he's like, "That was scary." He had me laughing. I couldn't even drive for a minute. I was laughing so hard. Monterey, which comment was that? Brody, yes, it is. It's still at the arm. It's the Python is back in the. It was at the shop for a while. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's just some salty ass old timer Monterey. I'll pin it for you. There you go. Oh wow. Did a whole sub and reverse as a rear loader. Yeah, were you being like Mater from Cars with your rear view mirrors? Brody, I drove the Python, and that actually, I'm gonna tell you right now, that rental Python. I don't know how our guy does it, but when I was using the Python and everything else, oh my god, I needed help from my whole crew because I couldn't get my route done for shit. It was just so much of a problem. Old timers got the best stories though. Oh, I got one for you. I got one for you, and I'm not gonna mention him by name, but it's one of my old dogs at work. So he started when they still had a stand-up mini, right-hand drive manual, a manual side loader, if I remember correctly, or it was a manual automated side loader. So he was coming around the corner, and he hit the corner a little too hard, and he didn't have the chain up. I guess this was before BFI merged with Republic, so you guys know. And he started going out, and Fool got Fool started to go out, so he hit the pulled the air brake, and the truck immediately stopped, threw his ass into the forearm, into the mirror, and he went rolling out on the ground, rolling out the ground. And the funny part is, the lead driver was on the other side of the street, saw the whole thing happen, was laughing his ass off at him. I would have too, honestly, if I saw that. Would I drive an MRAP? I actually drove in the MRAP, a little mini MRAP, but I've driven them. Yeah, they're okay. No complaint with them. David, I would love to hear his stories. I love hearing all the good stories. The embarrassing stories are always the best too. Like one of our coworkers from back in the day. It's on YouTube. All you gotta do is look up Elk Grove garbage truck fire. You'll see it. Um, yeah, it's from years ago. It's when they first got the rapid rails. He lit the entire field on fire from a load fire. Would you drive an auto reach? I've driven an auto reach. The only I've driven a New Way. I've driven a Labrie, ZRs, Rapid Rails, Durapack Rapid Rail, Python, Auto Reach, and a NRAP. Yeah, Waste Management's always funny. What's your most favorite garbage truck in Republic service? Honestly, the best trucks, the rental that I have, Labrie. The Labrie was my favorite truck. The arm was great. The Mac cab was spacious. The turning radius was ass, but you know it's not complaining about that part. But it was okay. How'd you like the Python? I hated it, but that's just because I just didn't know how to use it. The the way it was, the jankiness of it and everything else, it was like I'd have to spend a couple of weeks playing with the damn thing to learn it. But I only had it for a day and a half, so yeah, it's not. Wait, they got a picture of the killer. Hold on a second, y'all. 1 second. I don't want to copyright this guy, but I'm watching this guy covering the news. Let me see what he's talking about. I'm not trying to copyright this guy, so I'm only listening to him. Hold on a second. They got two pictures on the screen of the proposed person of interest of the Charlie Kirk killer. Hmm. Those you this is actually a pretty good picture of him too. If he gives a link, I'll be able to link the picture and be able to look at it, bring it on the screen for you guys. But yeah, yeah, they released surveillance footage of the guy. Yeah, yeah. No, so regarding my favorite trucks, the New Way and Labrie were my favorite trucks that I used. They just they're just perfect. I mean, small fingers, no conveyor belt thing arm. Matt, you won't believe I broke my mailbox. What you do? Slap it? Will McNillis is better. Heil is, don't get it wrong, Heil's okay, but they're cheap. They are very cheap. Like, if you're a budget company or a company that needs to save some money on equipment, Heil's will get the job done. That's one thing I'll say about both the Heil Durapack and also the General Wrapper Rails. I hit it with the can. Selfish, why'd you do that? I heard that ABT Helly. Well, I'm not sure exactly. But they got good reloaders. Yeah, reloaders are okay. Corrado or Labrie? I'll take the Labrie. College age, white male, skinny, average height, blue jeans, a wounded warrior veteran style shirt. That's what the picture it is I'm seeing. What does McNeilus make? I don't know. Let's go look. I'm gonna. All right. So, McNeilus makes the ZR, auto reach, and manual automated side loaders. Yeah. Let me get myself over here. See? That's the 3 models they make, everybody. And I got that on their website and everything else. No copyright intended if you're watching McNeilus. Back in the middle. Because I'm supreme. ZR is the most popular. Yeah, because I think it's the most simplest design. I mean, I've seen manual automated and I've seen auto reaches. Rapid rail or auto reach? Give me the auto reach. Let's see what else. Let's look at Heil. So MRAP or I'll take an MRAP. Leaves don't like anything that makes. Yeah, well, I like him because I've never had a problem with McNeilus. I've always had a problem with Hiles. But then again, everything I did operate is mostly outside the rentals or were. Oh. Have you used the wacky orange? Yeah, I have, and I can't do it. So let me get myself back in the corner again. And I'm gonna shrink myself. Oops. 1 second, y'all. There we go. Alright. So this is what Heil makes. They got that electric garbage that I don't trust. Then we have the Durapack, Python, and Rapid Rail. Driven both of these. If I had to choose, just from my experience, I go with the Rapid Rail. And then they have the Liberty, and then they have the regular Rapid Rail. So yeah, 1 second. LA sanitation, nice. See, this is Labrie is. Labrie has a whole customization option here. Look at this. And they got a copycat ZR over there. Did they? Yes, the Command SST was discontinued, I think, last year or the year before. Python is their best selling it. Yeah, I mean, if you're just picking up one can, I guess, yeah. Yeah, that sucks. Horrible. Yeah. Have you ever tried out a Bridgeport? No, I have not. I haven't been with the company yet that actually operates a Bridgeport. Now, New Way on the other time too is actually interesting to when you look at it, because New Way has several interesting models here. All right, here we go. So when you check out New Way, you have the Sidewinder, Rotopack, and Wolverine. These are actually pretty cool. Alright, we'll check out Bridgeport real quick. So, we've seen ones like this with Folsom, the Ranger body one. And this other one too looks like it's a Folsom one, kind of like ones I've seen in Folsom. And maybe Roseville. Well, they do got a lot of interesting trucks, and apparently they do got a front loader too, the Corrado bucket. Yeah, definitely good. McNeil's has a lot of rear loaders, yeah. I think they're pretty good with rear loaders. Hold on a second. Hold on, I'm trying to see if I get a good picture of this. Yeah. Hold on a second, y'all. Something's coming through. Yeah. Yeah. So there we have it. We have all those their kind of truck models and everything else. But what else we got going on? I mean, 530. Oh, a second, y'all. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Hold on, y'all. Working on this. Yeah, I'm taking out a mailbox. Oh yeah, I'm trying to. Hold on, y'all. There's information coming in. I'm just reading it. Yeah, that's a picture of the killer they just released, or at least the person of interest. I don't say killer, but they're pretty sure it was him. Interesting. They have a name, by the way, too. They just haven't released it yet. I'm pretty sure they're gonna catch that person probably pretty quickly. But all right, guys. Thanks for tuning in for this live stream and us having a conversation. Stay strong. Stay alert. Stay alive. And I'll see you guys